question that was asked was, how much market research did I do while I was developing or coming up with the idea for Kick Buttowski? And the answer is very simple: none. I shouldn't say that, actually. Disney obviously did a ton of market research and focus group testing like they do for all their shows when it was being acquired and developed. They have a very formal process. They're fantastic at it. They're probably the best in the world. But I really didn't do much myself prior to Disney, obviously. But I can share with you, I guess this kind of qualifies for market research, and it's kind of a cool little personal story. And I think it's important as students and as young artists that you kind of hear this from me. Way back when, many moons before Disney and Kick Buttowski was on TV, probably 2004, 2005. A couple years into the idea, and I had been doing a lot of animation design. I used to live over here on Melrose Avenue, which is kind of a cool area in LA. A lot of young people. There's a mixture of people actually there. Some young people, some families, a lot of Orthodox Jewish people. Anyway, so I was living over there, and at that time the show was not called Kick Buttowski, or the idea was not called Kick Buttowski. It was called Kid Knievel, and I was dealing at the time with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Evil Knievel. And I had done, like I said, at that point probably 2 or 3 years worth of animation and design, and I had the pitch Bibles and all these different components put together. And I literally, like, every day I worked on this thing. Well, we got to a point where it just seemed like we were in an impasse, he and I, and it wasn't going to work out. We were essentially breaking up. It was tough. I'm kind of giggling about it now, but it was really tough. I was devastated. I remember hanging up the phone with him and looking at the designs and everything, and it was just brutal to think that not even so much time had been, that all the time and energy that was going to be wasted, but that the thing that I wanted to share with the world wasn't going to happen. And I remember just feeling completely defeated. And if you know me, you know I don't like to feel that way. No one does. And I sat down, I went outside, and I remember getting off the phone, and I was just distraught. And I sat down on the stairs of where I lived. And down the street comes this little boy. He's probably about 7 years old, maybe 6 or 7. And he was an Orthodox Jewish boy. He had a yarmulke on, payassis, I think they call it, the curls, black jacket, and he's on his bicycle. And he's pedaling really hard, you know, and he's probably going a good 4 miles an hour. Anyway, so he's coming down to where I am, and I'm sitting there. I kind of look up a little bit, and right in front of where I was sitting, there's a big oak tree, and the root had pushed up the sidewalk, so it was kind of like a ramp. And so he's pedaling, and he gets to the ramp, and he hits the ramp, you know. He probably gets about that high off the ground. But in his mind, you know, he probably thought it was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, so he does that, and then he does a little skid right in front of me, like, and he starts to turn around, like an 84-point turn to turn around. And I remember looking at him, and I said, he made like eye contact with me, and I said, "Hey, buddy, it was a pretty sweet jump." And without missing a beat, he looks back at me and he goes, "Yeah, I know. This is my block." And I'll never forget it. Just the way, and then he literally got on his bike and just kind of off into the sunset he went, cool as can be, like the Fonz, you know. And it was amazing. It was a really cool moment, because I thought to myself, here's a kid, a little boy, who is growing up in a completely different time than me, in a different culture, in a different city, a different religion, and yet I was doing the exact same thing as him when I was his age. And I don't think I'm the only boy that was doing that at that age, or he was, I should say. Millions of boys do that. They did it in the 50s, they do it now, they do it all around the world. And I remember thinking, that idea and that feeling that I just had with that kid, that connection, it's too good to give up. It's too good to just say it's over and you're defeated. And I felt it. I really felt it. And I think when you feel things like that, and you believe in yourself and you believe in your talents, whatever line of business you're in, you can't just walk away from things sometimes, and you have to be able to kind of persevere and be determined and say, no, I'm going to make this work. And I did. I literally remember looking at my hands, sitting there on that step, looking at these hands and saying, I got to figure out a way. I'm going to make this happen. It's too good. And I did. It took a lot of hard work, but it worked out. And these experiences, whether it's a TV show or a film, they're amazing. It's unique, and they're rare, and they're amazing. They have ups and they can have downs, and you just can't get too caught up in the downs. And like I said, when you feel it and you have that connection with an audience or a person, like in that case it was me and that boy, and I think millions of boys out there in the world, you know it, and you know not to give up. So that's my kind of spiel on market research, and so I hope that helps and answers your question.